Building a longhouse is hard work and was traditionally performed by the men of the village. Work began by finding the needed building materials. Trees that were removed for the clearing of land could be used to build a longhouse. Since they did not have steel, trees were burned and chopped down with stone tools. In the spring, the bark was removed from the tree while the sap was running. At this time of year, the bark could be easily peeled from the trees and placed flat on the ground with weights to flatten it while it dried. Removing the bark also prevents quick rotting of the wood, since bugs would not have a home to live. Longhouses did rot away eventually, but removing the bark slowed this process down. We chose basswood for our longhouse project. Basswood can easily be peeled in the month of July while we were building and can be made into a very strong cordage. We used steel to remove the bark, but stone was used in ancient times. Antlers and bone tools were also used to peel bark as well as split wood. An antler wedge pounded into the wood with a stone hammer would easily split many types of straight-grained woods. Large sheets of bark could be used for covering the lodge. Before beginning this project, I envisioned needing 3-foot trees for the bark covering, but I soon found that an 8-inch tree produces a rather wide sheet of bark. Though I never found out, a 3-foot tree must produce a very wide sheet. Small sheets and strips could be used for making cordage, called rope in today's world. The bark for making cordage is soaked in running water for a month, and the inner bark could then be easily removed and dried and made into cordage. The frame of our longhouse was laid out with stakes. The stakes marked the location of all the upright support poles. Our longhouse will be 30 feet long and 12 feet wide. The remains of the longest known traditional longhouse was nearly 400 feet long. Longhouses varied in length as times changed. Lewis Henry Morgan states that generally longhouses were between 50 and 130 feet in length by about 16 feet in width. They were subdivided into compartments of around 12 feet long with a fire in the middle of each compartment. 2 families shared a compartment with 1 family on each side of a shared fire. A longhouse of 120 feet would have had 10 fires and 20 families. A village would have had many longhouses and would have a log palisade that surrounded the village. The palisade provided protection from enemy warriors. Our longhouse will house 2 families. We decided to slightly alter the layout of our longhouse in that 1 family will live in each end and share a fire that is located in the center of the lodge. This allowed us a larger area for social events around the common fire. Holes were dug and the first support poles were put in place. This longhouse has 5 vertical support poles on each outer wall and 8 vertical poles for the inner supports. The vertical support walls have horizontal poles on top of them to strengthen the frame and give the roof hoops something to bend around when we put them in place. Since there were no nails in ancient times, all joints were lashed with cordage made from inner bark or fresh outer bark. We stripped the bark off the trees and lashed the poles together with it. If it dried out before we could use it, we soaked it in water until pliable again. Basswood bark is strong and tightens as it dries. Some joints were lashed together using handmade cordage, though not many. It is easier and faster to use fresh bark. Rawhide made from animal skins could also be used for lashing. After spending nearly a week of working 12-hour days, the frame still looks like a pole barn and not a longhouse. What took our small group a week could likely have been completed in 1 day by a group of Iroquois men.
We gonna we oh, we gonna we oh,
Installing the hoops was a major improvement to our longhouse. After all our work, the lodge is beginning to take on the shape of a true longhouse. The roof hoops were set into the ground and bent over the frame. 2 poles were placed about a foot in the ground and bent towards each other, where they were lashed to the frame and to each other. It seemed to take forever to find the proper poles, cut them down, strip the bark, and carry them to the site. As we worked, we often thought of how men did this without our modern machines and tools. We found that the best way to bend the hoops was to tie a rope to the top and have one of us pull the rope so as to bend the pole to the frame. Bob was the roof man and would hold it tightly against the upper roof frame until I could tie it securely to the lower frame. The overlapping sections and the complete hoops were then lashed together and to the framework. After 3 hoops, we were excited about the looks of our lodge. It took 34 poles that were around 20 foot long to complete our 30-foot longhouse. We placed each hoop about 2 foot apart, and we made 17 hoops in all. The traditional longhouse would have been covered in elm or ash bark with the rough side out. The bark sheets were placed with the grain running up and down so as to drain water better off the lodge. A hole was left in the roof so smoke from the fire could escape. We used all the basswood bark we had, but only could cover part of one wall. Since we could not secure any more bark this summer, we were forced to cover it with a plastic cover that we salvaged from a large party tent that was damaged in a windstorm. It wasn't traditional, but it worked to keep our lodge dry until next spring when we can find more bark. It's been 5 months since we built the longhouse. Back in July, we put this white covering over it to protect the frame and the stuff that we built inside of it. We came out here today to see how the longhouse was holding up in our first major snowstorm of the year. So come on in and let's see what's in here. As we enter the front door, we'll see a bed on either side of the aisle. In traditional times, you had a family that would live on each side of the aisle with a fireplace in the center. Since our longhouse is a little skinnier, we chose to have the families live on each end and a fireplace in the center so that we can have some more social events with a much larger area. Longhouses were tied together with the bark from the trees that they stripped. We use basswood in ours, and this is what it looks like at this time of year. In July, when we stripped the trees, we soaked a lot of it in the river, and we soaked it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and we peeled the inner bark off. This is what they made rope, or as we call it, cordage. It made very strong cordage to tie the longhouse all together.